Over the last month, my favorite team in the NBA to watch so far has been the Portland Trailblazers. I would call them my League Pass team. I watched pretty much most Portland Trailblazer games compared to last year when I didn't even know who Duop Reith was until halfway through the season. This point in the year, the Portland Trailblazers are playing phenomenal. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. They beat the Suns in back-to-back games. Like, the Portland Trailblazers are a ton of fun to watch. And the reason for that is they just have a bunch of really good role players, really good pieces, but none of them are like stars. Anthony Simons probably being their best player. They have a bunch of other very good players on this roster. And at the trade deadline, maybe they sell a lot of these players. I have no idea what their plan is, but right now they're almost too good for their own good. With that being said, casuals only. Let's get it. So here's the breakdown of the entire Portland Trailblazers roster. Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, Denny, DeAndre Ayton, Jeremy Grant, Scoot, Tamani Kamara, Delano Banton, Robert Williams, Donovan Clingan, Chris Murray, all the way down. Like, this team has a bunch of very good assets that could be dealt all the way around the league, and you can bring in a ton of really good picks and possibly some younger players. I just think the potential of this roster is phenomenal, and not for the future of like the Portland Trailblazers, but as in like what they can bring in for the future of the Portland Trailblazers. This isn't the building blocks. Like, these players aren't the building blocks for the future outside of like possibly Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson. But a lot of these guys, Donovan Clingan, a lot of these guys can bring in assets to then help build towards the future of the Portland Trailblazers. Now, it's kind of funny with how stacked, or at least like stacked, the people think this draft is going to be, with Cooper Flagg coming in, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. Like, there are a ton of very good options in this draft, but the Portland Trailblazers are 21-29. Like, if you just take a look around the league right now, the Portland Trailblazers 21-29, same record as the Spurs, who aren't necessarily trying to tank or get a top draft pick. I mean, they just traded for De'Aaron Fox. Like, they're obviously in more of a win now mode than the Blazers should be. I mean, they have a generational talent in Victor Wembanyama, and now they bring in a top 10 point guard. I don't know what he is in the top 10, whatever, but top 10 point guard in De'Aaron Fox. Like, the Spurs are in more of a win now mode than the Portland Trailblazers are or should be. They're 4 wins behind the Warriors, behind the Suns, the Kings, 5 wins behind the Mavericks, 6 behind the Timberwolves. Like, they're not too far away from these teams that should be competing for championships or deep playoff runs. And when you look at the Eastern Conference, like, 21-29 puts them in the play-in, as good as the Bulls. If they win one more game, they're up there within, like, actually in the play-in, competing for like a legitimate chance to play in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Like, the Portland Trailblazers are better than they should be. They're too good for their own good, like I've already said. And the reason for that is the fact that their team is just genuinely stacked from a role player standpoint. Anthony Simons should be dealt. This guy is so good at basketball, specifically offensively. Defensively, he doesn't offer a ton for you, but specifically offensively, Anthony Simons is a great option for somebody like the Orlando Magic, who are very good on defense but lack so much offense, or at least perimeter scoring. We saw that last night against the Warriors. Like, just absolute disgusting showing from both of those teams. So this season, Anthony Simons shooting 36.6% from 3. On his career, he's a 38% three-point shooter. Like, the Orlando Magic desperately need that right now. A great option for Orlando. And I can almost bet you Orlando is willing to give up a good amount for somebody like Anthony Simons. I think Shaedon Sharpe needs to stay. Shaedon Sharpe is very good at basketball. I love watching him play. Denny Advia is one I'm a little bit confused on. I don't know how old he is. I don't know if that matters a ton at this point. You just want good basketball players. 4th season in the league, 24 years old. Like, is that somebody you shop at this point if you still don't have a player you're necessarily building around? I don't know. That's up in the air for somebody like Denny Advia, but he'd be very valuable on a lot of teams. Like, Denny Advia would be a great fit for Detroit. He's shooting 34% from 3. I think that could be better, but still a very good option for anybody around the league in general. But if they choose to keep him, you can't go wrong with that. DeAndre Ayton, I think they will shop. Then again, they don't have to shop him if they don't want to. You still have Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams. I think Robert Williams 100% will be traded at the trade deadline. Donovan Clingan, they're probably going to want to build around. So if anything, you can shop DeAndre Ayton. That's somebody the Lakers can give you a 1st-round pick for. You can get more for him from somebody else around the league. I don't know who exactly off the top of my head. Maybe the Pelicans are interested in him since they don't really have a great center. But then again, Yves Missy is having a very good season for his rookie season, so not worth it, especially with what DeAndre Ayton makes. Next up, obviously, you can look at somebody like Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant, a very large contract, but a great player nonetheless. Teams that he could go to that he would help. Do the Warriors consider him? I don't know if he's a star enough for the Golden State Warriors. He's shooting 38% from 3 this season. A very nice piece next to Steph Curry. Maybe they consider him down there in Orlando as well. I don't know what his fit would be, but another very good shooter Orlando can consider. That would help Orlando a lot. And He's not a bad defender by any means. He's a very lengthy guy. Another very good option for playoff teams. Scoot Henderson, you still let him ride. Tamani Kamara is your hidden gem. Like, that is the guy that you guys got. That is your guy. I don't let Tamani Kamara walk. He is very, very good at basketball, and he's only going to get better. He's 24 years old. Same page as Denny. He has had 2 less seasons in the league compared to Denny Advia, but nonetheless, like, Tamani Kamara, a great young piece still. Like, it's funny with these guys that are 24 years old on a team that should be rebuilding, like the Portland Trailblazers. How do you feel about these guys? How do you gauge their value to your team specifically? Obviously, their value around the league is wonderful. Like, what you got Tamani Kamara for, you're going to get triple that, quadruple that. What you got Denny Advia for, like, he has now played past what he was playing last year. He looks phenomenal this season. How do you value a 24-year-old on a young team like this that should be tanking and doesn't have that star 1A type player, unless you consider Shaden Sharp your future star 1A type player, which he could be. He very well could be. We don't know the future of that. You keep going down the list. Delano Banton making a decent case for himself this season. Robert Williams, like I already touched on, is going to be traded. Most likely he should be traded at least. Chris Murray, give him some time. Jabari Walker, give him some time. A lot of these guys at the end of the bench. Duop Reed is another player that, because he's behind Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams, and DeAndre Ayton, he doesn't see the court. So that's why I think, like, if you want to embrace the rebuild, if you want to have a chance to get Cooper Flagg or possibly or somebody else in this draft that you can build around as well, you do need to move off of Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton and let Duop Reed come in and play. Let Donovan Clingan get more minutes. He's playing 16 minutes per game behind 30 minutes from DeAndre Ayton. Let Donovan Clingan have the reins from now on. Here is Tankathon, just to show you guys, like, sitting here, my Detroit Pistons outside of the lottery. Obviously, this isn't solidified by any means, but Portland is right here at 21-29. They've won 4 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10. Like, their chances at a number 1 overall pick are getting much worse, especially with how bad Washington is. They have won 2 in a row now, but Washington, nonetheless, still one of the worst team in the league. Utah's bad. New Orleans is bad. Charlotte's bad. It's going to be tough to move up in the lottery unless you get very low. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks did it last year. Atlanta Hawks made the play-in last year and still got the first overall pick. It's possible. Let's see what we can get if we just click it once. Let's see the sim lottery if we click it once. Brooklyn, Atlanta, Charlotte, Washington, Utah, New Orleans. Like, you're sitting here at 10. What does a mock draft say 10 gets you? Bleacher Report dropped this mock draft 8 days ago, so this is pretty up to date, I would say. Number 1, obviously, Cooper Flagg. Portland Trailblazers, Trey Johnson. Somebody I don't know about. I'm not super in touch unless it's like some of these other guys, like Big Ten players like Kasparis. I'm a Michigan State guy, so a lot of these players I've seen. Jeremiah Fears is the brother of Jeremy Fears, Michigan State's point guard. I've seen him play. Obviously, I've watched Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper and Cooper Flagg, so most of the top guys are Big Ten guys I'm aware of. The rest of that, outside of that, I don't know. So I don't know how good Trey Johnson is if you're getting him at 7. In that Tankathon, they fell to 10, so I want to see what 10 would get you. Ben Seraph. I don't know anything about him. It's funny, though, because this is a video I wanted to make sometime last week before they went on this big run they're on. They're one of the hottest teams in the NBA. I wanted to make this video last week. Obviously, the whole Luka Doncic and AD trade thing happened. The rumors for De'Aaron Fox, and then the De'Aaron Fox trade actually happened. So a lot has been going on in the NBA that has pushed this video back for me, but this is one I've been passionate about and I've wanted to make for a while because I absolutely love this Portland Trailblazers team. Shout out to Chauncey Billups, Detroit Piston legend, man. I love to see him just absolutely killing it out there. But yeah, the Portland Trailblazers, should they continue down this route? Obviously, I don't think they're going to. I don't think they should. They should be tanking more than they actually are. If I'm a Trailblazer fan, I'm intrigued by what we have. Like, if I'm a Trailblazer fan, I am happy with how it has gone so far. This is just so unexpected. It's so unexpected. And when you have a bad roster, and they don't even have a bad roster, but when you have a roster that should be tanking, you're feeling like a Detroit Pistons fan last year. Like, we went on a 28-game losing streak. This team isn't even close to that. So you're happy with what you have here, the pieces that you can trade, the pieces that you can upgrade, the ways you can upgrade, the assets you can bring in. Jeremy Grant's going to bring in something for you. Like, DeAndre Ayton can bring you something in. Robert Williams can bring you something in. Anthony Simons is going to get you a lot. Like, the future's bright in Portland. I love what they've got going on. Chauncey's looking good. Denny Advia is looking good. Shaden Sharp. All of these players are fun to watch, man. If you haven't tuned into the Blazers, I recommend you do so. This is currently my league pass team until maybe the trade deadline, depending on what they do. But I absolutely love what's going on in Portland. Trailblazer fans, if you're out there watching watching this. Let me know your thoughts on the team and the direction of your future. I want to know from a Portland fan who watches all of the games and who's been keeping track of the entire season, the past couple seasons, like what your goals are as a franchise. Obviously, the end goal is to win a championship, but that's not going to happen with this roster. So, what is your end goal? What is the goal for the season? What's the goal for next season? Like, how confident are you that Shaden Sharp can turn into a 1A player, or Scoot Henderson can grow into the prospect we expected him to, since he's not playing nearly as well as everybody had hoped or propped him up to be? I appreciate all of you guys for watching. Shout out to the Blazers, man. Once again, casuals only. I'm out.